Wow, what a treat we've had today. We're going to talk about this match first. Novak Djokovic versus Alexander Zverev. It was revenge for Alexander Zverev after losing the US Open semi-final in 5 sets, and it was a repeat of that Tokyo Olympics win, one in a different way. We'll go into that. Before we do, welcome to Quality Shot. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please do remember to like the video if you don't mind, and do subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We will be doing a live watch along for the final tomorrow, which is Medvedev versus Zverev. Sorry, spoilers. And of course, we will be doing some review after as well. So do keep an eye out for that. Please do also click the notification bell as well to get alerted to all the new videos. Right, let's get into this then. The ATP Finals in Turin, the 2021 edition. Now, we're going to go into this semi-final first, and then we'll talk about Medvedev and Ruud, which there wasn't as much to talk about in that, to be fair. Look, going into this match, it was Novak Djokovic as the favourite, and I think majority of you guys actually in the channel had voted when I put a poll in the community tab. Most of you had said, if I'm not mistaken, that Djokovic was the clear favourite. And I mean, it's pretty hard to disagree with you guys. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, what are you guys talking about? You're so wrong, because, you know, it was an 83% of you actually went for Djokovic. So, look, definitely the clear favourite, I think, given how he's played in the tournament so far. Is, I think, you know, it should be noted that he had an easier group, I think, in terms of the quality of opposition in Rublev, Ruud, and in the end Cam Norrie. Whereas for Zverev, he had Medvedev. He played a set against Berrettini, obviously. You know, and I think Hurkacz as well, who's been in some good form. So I think, honestly, there was definitely a gulf in class in terms of the opponents faced so far. But Djokovic is Djokovic, the number one player in the world, and he came into his favourite as he rightfully should. My prediction was actually Zverev in 3, so I got this right. So I'm pretty happy with myself about it, to be fair, that I managed to get the prediction right. But I did say that the serve return would be a big, big part of this match, and it ended up definitely playing a huge part, given how quick the courts are as well. At the start, it was a case of a lot of aces being fired down, a lot of love games, in fact, in that first set, and that's why it's no surprise that that first set went to a tie break with no breaks of serve throughout the set. And then from there, really, I mean, to be honest with you, from 5-4 in that first set onwards, there was some incredible tennis. It really was, including that incredible rally. For anyone who hasn't watched it, go and check out the highlights. That 5-4 and love 15, 35-shot rally. Incredible point with Zverev in the end, finishing off the point at the net with a beautiful volley. But it was just an incredible point of pure skill, to be honest with you, and quality of tennis, which is probably the highest that you'll see around, honestly. And it was beautiful to see. It really was. Let's get into the stats first, and then we'll talk a little bit more about, I think, maybe some of the turning points in the match, some of the key, I think, takeaways from this as well. The key battles, who won the key battles, and which battles as well, and some of the tactics employed as well from both. Statistics wise, so in terms of aces, I mean, a fantastic serving day for both, as you can see. 15 aces for Djokovic. I mean, look at that. He served more aces than Alexander Zverev, which is very impressive, it has to be said. But he had a very good serving day overall, to be fair to him. Well, in terms of his first serve, anyway, for sure. We'll go into the second serve stats in a second, of course. But yeah, 15 aces is really good, and he was hitting his spots, and he served well throughout the whole tournament, to be fair. And he's definitely, I think, enjoyed the quicker courts when it's come to his serving. He's hit his spots really nicely. For Zverev, I thought he served clutcher in a lot of moments. Only one double fault each, which, you know, for Zverev is a good sign. First, the percentage very high from Zverev. Not quite as high from Djokovic, but still a good number there. But you can see on the first serve points won, Djokovic winning 87% of those. That's really impressive. Like, genuinely phenomenal, to be fair. 78% is still very good from Sasha Zverev, but not quite up to those heights. But where there's a huge disparity is second serve points won. Now, obviously, Djokovic not quite making as many first serves as Zverev, so having to rely more on second serve, but only winning 41% of those points. Whereas for Zverev, he was winning 63% of those points. So this is where the disparity comes in the second serve, right? Breakpoints saved, each had 4 breakpoint opportunities. It shows how close this match was, to be fair. Although that third set, and we'll talk about that in more depth, Zverev definitely did run away with it, which was interesting. First serve return points won. So this is where you can see, I guess, it highlighted, which I said about the first and second serves from each player and how each was returning. Djokovic, clearly, I think we can say, is the overall better returner, I think. I think that's fair enough to say. And you can see here winning 22% of first serve return points. For Zverev, only 13%. Now here we've got 33% for Djokovic on the second serve return points won, but 56% for Alexander Zverev. I think a lot of that is down to one, and it's an interesting tactic that Zverev used, where he went down the middle of the court in a lot of the returns, but it was a lot of depth in the majority of those returns. And what it also meant is that it denied Djokovic being able to deflect the ball and hit particular angles, which would then put him on the front foot, which he's very good at doing, to be fair. Zverev utilized it, and it worked for the most part, and I thought that was quite impressive. He also made a lot of returns and managed to start reading the Djokovic serve a lot better, I thought, personally, anyway. Overall, a very good returning day for Alexander Zverev. Djokovic is always good, and he'll always be solid at returning. You won't see many games where he's not. But for Zverev, this was definitely a step in the right direction, for sure. And this is what's very interesting. The win is to unforced errors. Now, this doesn't always tell the whole story, and I'll tell you why in a second. But 27 winners for Djokovic and 29 unforced errors. For Zverev, 35 winners and 24 unforced errors. Now, of course, you need to take into account that there was probably, and from what I remember, there were quite a few of these, quite a few big serves, or very good serves from Djokovic, or very good shots, where Zverev does manage to get a racket on them. So when you get a racket on them, it doesn't count as a clean winner, unless I'm mistaken. So for the serves anyway, it doesn't count as a clean ace, so it's not a clean winner. It counts as a forced error. Now, there's no forced errors stat here, so we won't look into that. But nonetheless, it still, I think, shows a little bit of tightness in Djokovic's play. The fact that he had more unforced errors than winners, and I think he'll look at that and be slightly disappointed. He wasn't as metronomic, let's say, in some of his play, which normally he would be extremely good in his depth on the ground strokes. He made quite a few errors, which is uncharacteristic for him. You wouldn't expect him to finish the game with more unforced errors than Zverev. Winners for Zverev, 35, 24 unforced errors, so good showing from him. Net points won as well. Djokovic, when he came to the net, mighty impressive. As we know, he's improved that side of his game immensely, 16 out of 19. For Zverev, 8 out of 10. I think he needs to utilize that more. He's good at the net. He's got good hands, good composure, and some very good volleys when he came forward. So that's all the kind of stats I want to go into. The rest, quite interesting, but that's kind of by the by. So as you can see, Zverev winning 7-6, 4-6, 6-3 now. The first set was very nip and tuck, as I said, and I think, it could have gone either way. It was a tiebreaker, and really, if anyone, either player won it, it wouldn't have been a surprise. I think it was that close, and it was because they both served so well throughout the whole set. Now, the second set was interesting because I felt as if Zverev actually played better than Djokovic. He had a lot more inroads into the Djokovic serve. He wasn't clinical, though, in those inroads. And Djokovic managed to come up clutch in some points as well with big serves, get himself out of trouble, and Zverev made a few mistakes for sure. Eventually at 5-4, breaking Zverev, Djokovic got through And this to me was it was a potential chance for Zverev to self-implode, and he didn't, to be fair. And that is a massive positive for him because in the past he may have then just got the nerves and lots of doubles might have started falling from the sky for him, or he started making a lot of errors, but he didn't. He picked himself up despite looking really, really distraught because he knew he had chances in that set to break Djokovic. He didn't take them. I think there was one game where he was 40-15 up. In that game, actually, sorry, where he got broken, he was 40-15 up. He made a couple of errors and it destroyed him. He went to juice. He also had a game point, didn't convert it. Djokovic turned it around and ended up winning that game to go 5-4 up and then take the set 6-4. And actually, sorry, in that game as well, he was juice and had, if I'm not mistaken, a break point opportunity to break back, and Djokovic managed to get through that game. And Zverev again will be disappointed because he didn't make some returns where he'd actually read the serve. He just didn't make the right decisions in some crucial moments. And the final set, to be honest with you, he was really impressive. He broke early doors to go 3-1 up. And from there, it was just about holding his nerves, and he did. There was a game where I think he was 40-15 down or 40-30 down. He managed to come back and go on to win that game. I think that was at 4-2. So ended up closing out the set 6-3 in very good fashion with an ace down the tee from the ad side, if I'm not mistaken. So pretty fitting, given it was a very, I think, serve-friendly match, no doubt. But some phenomenal points in this. And I think Zverev will feel happy for sure because there was definitely a moment when in the second set he was obviously a set up, but he was one love up. So he just held serve and he was 30-15 up on Djokovic's serve. He got across to a ball in a very kind of tight point, and it was just all he had to do was just get across it and bunt the ball back into court. Djokovic was completely off court, would have won it, and instead he tried to go for too much and he went wide, missing the line, which was just crazy, trying to go down the line. And he looked on as if, what have I just done? So, look, fair play to Zverev. Mentally, I thought he was really good throughout this whole match. And it's really, the commentator said, I do agree. I think it was the first very stern test that Djokovic had. And he did look uncomfortable at times, which was surprising. I think in some of the rallies, actually, as well, I would have expected Djokovic to have had better shot tolerance, but Zverev played extremely well. I think the backhand-to-backhand exchanges, Zverev is one of the only players that can actually best Djokovic in that. And I think that does irk him to a degree. I know the head-to-head was 7-3 going into this, but he always seems to have issues with Zverev, and that's why. And the backhand of the line from Zverev caused a lot of problems to the forehand of Djokovic. It broke down a lot of times. A lot of forehands or backhands into the net from Djokovic, just trying to maybe go too flat on this surface, knowing how quick it is. And I think he probably felt he had to be a little bit more aggressive because Zverev was gaining control in the rallies too easily, I think, at times. One thing that he didn't really utilize, which I would have expected him to utilize as well, from a Novak Djokovic point of view, is the drop shot. He utilized it a couple of times, but nowhere near as much as he's been using it throughout this tournament. I know Zverev is a fantastic mover, and he's also good at the net when he is up at the net, from what I've seen. But I think that depth variation is something that Djokovic could have used, and he also uses that short slice, like short cross-court slice, which just skips off the court and puts you in a very awkward position as well. Not sure why he didn't use more of that. I would have if I was Djokovic, for sure. It was interesting. He tried to slice on the backhand, didn't really work. Zverev was very equal to it in pretty much all aspects, managing to get those knees and get low to the ball, or bend those knees, and get low to the ball and crunch those backhands cross court back into the backhand of Djokovic, or go down the line even. And I think overall it was a really impressive display from the big German. Really impressive. And he replicated, not in the same way, but he replicated that Olympic win, getting the best of Novak Djokovic in 3 sets. And he's the only player this year to beat him twice. So a really incredible accomplishment. I thought he served very well, as his stats show, and the backhand was very good. The forehand, interestingly, in terms of miles per hour, he actually was hitting the average forehand slightly slower than Djokovic. So showing how potent a weapon that forehand of Djokovic's has become, for sure. But also maybe that Zverev is holding back a little bit on that shot and needs to work on that, because that could be a weapon, and it can be a weapon when he's firing with it, for sure. Some really incredible rallies to note as well, I thought, which were just stand out. So do go and check out the highlights for that. And in terms of, where this is one I lost, and I just think it was more of a mental battle, and there were definitely some nip and tuck points, and that's why, you saw winning that tiebreak was crucial for Zverev. The second set, again, Djokovic winning at 5-4, but Zverev had a lot of chances. It just seemed like Zverev was being the more proactive in a lot of the points, to be fair to him. I think the winner column reflects that. So, yeah, I mean, Alexander Zverev, everyone would have said Djokovic-Medvedev semi-final again. Sorry, Djokovic-Medvedev final again. Zverev is completely bust up the party by winning, and it's a very good win as well for the world number 3. Really impressive stuff, especially in that third set, to hold his nerves, come back, make sure he closed it out. I thought was extremely impressive. So well done to him, and I'm sure we will see more of him, not just in the final, but going forward in 2022, winning some major titles, I'm sure. But it'll be a replay of that first or that second match in the red group that both had played, which was Medvedev-Zverev, which was won on a tiebreaker in the final set. Let's get into the second semi-final as well, and please do let me know your thoughts on the first one. So we'll just get that up for you guys. Daniil Medvedev and Casper Ruud. Now, thank you to those who joined the live watch along for this. I'm going to go through the stats very briefly, and we'll talk about 3 aces compared to 1 for Casper Ruud, 2 double faults, 3 for Casper Ruud. First serve percentage, very high actually, to be fair, for Casper Ruud, pretty high for Daniil Medvedev. But look at the difference here on first serve and second serve points: 82% and 74%, 67% and 42%. So night and day, and showing the serve is a lot more potent for Medvedev on this surface in general, and also the 1+ play was better from Medvedev, to be fair. He's definitely brought on this more slightly aggressive style of play, knowing how quick the courts are. And I think it's really suiting him, to be honest with you, for sure. Winners and unforced errors: 20 and 16 for Medvedev, 16 and 26 for Casper Ruud, and both with the same percentage win at the net, to be fair as well, which is very, very impressive for sure. Yeah, I mean, thank you to everyone who joined. As I said, I mean, extremely impressive, like, no doubt. What I would say is that Medvedev just looked a slight rung above. To be honest with you, he looked a rung above Casper Ruud, and I think he was just a step too far. Good tournament for Casper, no doubt. Clearly, some big talent there with a big forehand. It started to serve well as well, I thought, in the tournament, and some good belief. But Daniil Medvedev is just too much at this stage, I think, especially on this surface, and the quality, I think, shone through for sure. Winning 6-4, 6-2. He'll be a little bit disappointed. I don't think it was his best showing, as the stats probably suggest as well. But Medvedev goes on and he'll face Alexander Zverev, who's already faced in this tournament. He beat him in 3 sets, winning the deciding tiebreaker. We'll do a preview for the final as well, so I'll do that, and we'll get into that for sure. Cool. Thank you very much, guys. Please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you very much.